Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and I think it's high time we talked about something that has been going on in really the Magic community since the game started, just about. Mostly coming off of a statement made by Richard Garfield saying no card should be above, I believe he said $20, because this isn't that kind of game. He doesn't want to make ultra rare elitist collectibles. He wants to make cards that people can buy to put in their deck and play the game. And I think sometime before they implemented either Mythic Rarity or foils, I think it was Mythic Rarity, a bunch of the staff members had an ongoing thing where they would say, hey, referencing that quote, if I'm not mistaken, directly from Richard Garfield, they said, we don't want to make a super elite collectible whatever, this isn't that kind of game. And then, well, it turns out this is that kind of game, and now we've got secret layers with custom art being sold for, $50. And I've got to say, collectibles are fun, they're cool. It's not too much my world because I just don't have that much money to spend on, non-essentials. But if I made, an extra 20,000 a year more than I make right now, I'd probably pick up, some art, some paintings, some, like right now on my wall, no joke, I have the map of Skyrim, and then to my left on the other side of the window is the map from Oblivion. They came in the standard edition, but that is like the coolest thing I could possibly think of to throw on my wall that's so me and also pleasant to look at. So it's like art is art, rare stuff is cool. One time I was at my friend's shop, he sells like some rare antiques, collectibles, just whatever. He's just like a general resale shop, but like classier than a thrift shop. Even though people on that block keep getting shot and stabbed. But he showed me something once and he was like, here, check this out. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, neat. And he's selling it or something. He's like, yeah, well, except that it's worth like $4,000. I'm like, I'm holding something worth more than my car. And first of all, I was like, I better not drop it. I'd rather not be responsible for getting within 10 feet of this item because I can't afford to replace it if something happens to it. It was made out of solid metal though, but still. But then besides the feeling of absolute dread, it's like, oh, cool, I'm holding $4,000. And even just like, if you've ever hold like a 10-ounce brick of silver or something, you're like, oh, this is like, I was going to give the price of the last time I was holding them. I actually had 2 of them. I used it to pay for a gun at a gun show because that's how things go at a gun show. Oh, and before the gun show, I went to F&M. No joke. Had them in my pocket and I'm like, oh, cool. I need a counter. Boom! 10-ounce bar of silver. And it was like a $220 counter I was using to like tap and attack them with, which was the most baller shit ever. That's like, oh, I need to make a 2/2 lizard token. Literally get out a live iguana. Because if you a Bala Pimp player, you gotta get out the live lizards, man. That's classy shit. What was this video about? Oh, yeah. So, sometimes you hold something in your hand and you're like, oh, it's kind of neat. It's valuable. That's kind of cool. Or somebody tells you, hey, this thing, this collectible that came with a game or whatever, some limited edition first print of this or whatever, only 100 were made, it has serial numbers and you're holding one of them, and you just kind of get this feeling like, oh, that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of universal to humans. I think it's like an opportunistic scarcity thing. It's kind of hardwired into our brains to think that stuff that's rare is cool. And even when we just see like a rare event, like I was driving down the highway the other day and all of a sudden a military Humvee passes me, I'm like, neat. You don't see that every day. So uncommon, rare, and hyper expensive things, people are kind of drawn to like a sense of awe about them. So with that idea being so widespread, I don't disagree with somebody who wants to drop, even hundreds of dollars on some ultra rare or ultra cool looking or, whatever, really expensively made something, because yeah, it is kind of cool. If they have the money and it was a responsible purchase and they covered their bases otherwise, good for them. Now, I'm not saying there's no limit to that, and I'm not saying that everybody's responsible with their money. So how does that translate over to really expensive Magic cards? Because like I said in the title, a lot of people have come out on the internet and just made a blanket statement saying, hey, I don't think anybody should ever buy a card if it's above $100. Some people have said $200. Some people have said $500. Some people have gone with Richard Garfield and said $20. And a lot of people just knee-jerk like to, agree with that. But obviously I'm setting it up to say, oh, well, no, there's nothing wrong with that. But boy, is there a lot of ways to jump into this. So my official opinion is that it's not that simple, but I generally agree with that sentiment. So just to blow through the big factors, it's what's the person who bought it? What is their economic situation? How much expendable money do they have in a year, and intent as well? because that can override everything. Let's even focus on that for a second. You've got the people where no matter if they're rich and trying to show off or poor and trying to show off, which is even worse, they got a $5,000 trade binder. Look at this judge promo I bought. Look at this thing I got. And, they didn't get them for free by being a judge, because then it's just like, oh, cool, hold on to them, whatever. You didn't really spend money. But they just have all these ultra rare stuff, and they whip out their all foiled out deck. Oh, look at this. I've got a Japanese promo only thing from 15 years ago instead of the 50-cent version of the card that you could buy right now at the store. Ooh, look at me, and my deck's needlessly fancy. I mean, I can't stand those people unless they're just like, I like the rarity of it. I'm a collector. Yeah, I happen to be playing with it, but I just enjoy having expensive cards. I can afford them. And then the other thing is, well, also I'm probably going to be able to sell it in 5 years for more than what I paid. Maybe it was on sale. Maybe they got it as part of a lot. Maybe they got a really good deal when a store was closing and they're like, this is my one chance. I'm going to drop $500 on these 10 cards because they're 60% off or something, 30% off. So, I mean, the many factors that can make a determination of, is it true that nobody should ever pay X amount for playable cards is, the circumstances of when they bought it, how much they paid, if they intend to resell it. Well, then there's the whole thing about, buying a card. Well, you mean like a playable card that they sleeve and put in a deck, or one that they just put in their trade binder to show off maybe trade, or one that's in a graded container that they put on their, desk or their shelf at home and show off. Because, I mean, that's just, you're just buying collectibles. You're just buying a cool, rare, expensive thing. Like, that's borderline an investment if that's the intention. And then also just look at this cool wall thing I have on the wall. I don't know who would put a graded card on the wall. It's kind of small. It's really more of a shelf thing or a desk item. But I don't really consider that like buying a card. Yes, you are physically buying a card, but it's like when people say card, they mean playable card. They mean for your deck. So, I mean, you can have somebody who's like, yeah, this card was $110 and I could have bought the $5 version of it, but this one's older. It's super rare. Not many of them were made. It's a promo. It's already worth 20% more than when I bought it. I'm going to play with it for a bit. And if I ever need the money, I'll sell it and actually make a profit. It's like, what could you really say about that? Even though they spent over $100, and that's ridiculous for a card, in my opinion, the circumstances are, what they are. But then you got the person where like their entire intention is to show off. They think that if they have the fanciest, most expensive, rarest, most foiled out, most promoed out, crazy, like alternate foreign, this and that thing in their deck, that when they go to F&M and people see it, they'll be like, that guy takes the game very seriously. He's willing to put so much money into it. He cares so much. He puts so many of his resources towards the game. He's clearly an elite level respectable player, and I respect him for having such cool things. Which, who the hell thinks that? I mean, occasionally we get 12-year-olds at F&M. 12-year-olds are kind of dumb and they're easy to impress. But I've even had like 12 and 13-year-olds see somebody's card and they're like, why would you buy that? Don't you know you can buy that for $10? Why did you buy the $80 version? You're dumb. You're wasting your money. And I'm like, preach it. It's just like really, really ricey mods to your Honda. I'm sure a 12-year-old thinks they're cool. You'll probably find someone somewhere who thinks it's cool, but honestly, your spoiler looks like a park bench, or literally is a park bench. Look it up, you'll find the picture. I'm pretty sure it was in Russia, but still. Just because you find a small percentage of people who agree with you doesn't mean you're right, okay? But I mean, I think people look at certain cultures and they're like, let's look at like rap and hip hop and all that, where, they're basically singing, hey, I'm better than you, you dumb peasants, buy my music, because screw you, I'm rich and you're not. I'm awesome and be like me. Like, they're like talking shit to their actual audience saying, I'm so rich and you're not, I'm better than you. And people are like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to totally follow him on social media and buy his stuff. And then, they see him, they're walking around in fancy jewelry and, nice clothes, and they're looking nice, hey, whatever, but it's like a, $10,000 outfit. It's like, what the hell, you kidding me? But they get respect from a certain percentage of society, and so I think people know that show off culture, it's going to resonate with certain people. Like, if you're going to show off, you're going to get some people who do kind of adore you and respect you for it. It would be weird if absolutely everybody tells you they're not interested, you're dumb, and you wasted your money. So it's like, if they just know that a certain slice of society is going to respect them for spending way too much on something, then they're going to do it, and they're going to kind of associate with those people and kind of feed their ego off that, which, cool if it makes you happy, whatever, but I still think those people are just pathetic. I think if that was your reason for buying this ultra rare expensive thing, whether you're rich, poor, or anywhere in between, I think that is just the overriding factor that says, no, you shouldn't have bought that. So every couple months, it's like I see this discussion pop up online in various, forums, subreddits, even my own comment section, where people are like, no, I don't care. people should not spend more than, $50, $100 on a card. No card should cost over that. And then I think, well, kind of both things are true no matter which way you sit on, because it's kind of gray area. Like I said, you don't know the person's circumstances. I think I even said in the last video or 2 videos ago, whatever, if I made $10 million a year, would I drop about $1,000 on that new Chandra statue? You're damn right I would. That thing looks amazing. I would love to put that anywhere in my house. And by my house, I mean a much bigger, nicer, newer house. That is the best looking Magic collectible I have ever seen. It's a very close second with that custom printed Jace silver bar thing. That thing was pretty dope too. Those things are actually, I think they're sub 100 right now if you want to pick one up. That's actually not bad, but you wouldn't catch me doing it. I don't have any spare money right now. I actually just sold something 10 minutes before I started recording this on Facebook that I did not want to sell, but it was over $200, so I had to do it. I mean, I need the money. Thanks, YouTube, for stealing $4,000 from me. I appreciate that. It's not like it's the end of the year when I need to save for taxes and, income taxes, property taxes, all that shit. But yeah, everything scales, but I will say there are rich people who mismanage their money, that buy shit they can't afford. Even, NFL players and especially NBA players, I don't know what their problem is. So many of them end up bankrupt, like filing for bankruptcy because they don't realize that property taxes on that $1 million house is going to hit you every year, but you can only play it for a couple years. Okay, that's just stupid. That's careless. And they buy dumb shit they don't need, and they don't cover their bases. They don't stretch it out. They don't do the math. They don't make wise investments. So it's like if you go back in time 10 years before they're bankrupt and say, hey, should they be buying this thing? When they make $10 million a year, should they be buying this thing for $3,000? You'd be inclined to say yes because you know how much they make, but actually no, because they're not actually managing their finances. So there's exceptions to everything. And honestly, we're going kind of philosophical and moral on this one, but, and I'm no socialist. I am 100% pure capitalist. Let's go, with a little bit of assistance from the government to not have it turn into 1910, 14-year-olds working in factories with no workers' comp for whatever the rich monopoly tells you to, because that's pure capitalism. Let's not go there, but socialism is an absolute joke. But I mean, there have been rich people, I forget who it was. I keep wanting to say it's Warren Buffett, but I don't think it was him. I think it was somebody else, where he said, my goal is to give away all my money before I die to just anything that helps people. Just, he doesn't care. The environment, people, viruses, cancer, research, homelessness, whatever. He donates to everything. And his goal is to die with nothing to pass on to his kids, because I think they're rich anyway and whatever, they can make their own way. Or he never had kids. I don't remember it because I don't remember who this was. But yeah, just every year he gives away like 10%, 20% of his fortune to charity, and then lets the rest sit there and, gain interest, do, business investments. So he doesn't just give away a bulk sum. He actually keeps the money coming in so he can give away more. But instead of some, hedge fund manager, some, owner of Facebook, which I think I just literally named one person, where they have an obsession. They have a mental problem where the only amount that is acceptable to them for an amount of money that they make per year is more. They don't even care what the number is. More. They need more. Because technically there are some things they can't afford, like an entire country. If they cannot afford to buy out an entire country off like the African coast or some island nation, then they need more. I mean, how rich do you have to be to even be able to afford the maintenance and the taxes and the operational expenses of a private jet? I mean, $5-10 million a year, you wouldn't dream of it. You absolutely would not be able to afford it. So to them, it's just like, well, there's still some things I can't do. There's still some things I can't buy. And what if it fails? I need a golden parachute. But to them, like, their self-worth and their success is based on the number going up every year, and they don't even care what's in their bank account. It's just these people have an obsession. It's an addiction. It's basically hoarding, but for money. And it's what they're taught to be like in, their crappy Ivy League colleges. And their stupid, MBA classes at their elitist colleges where they're like, you're not a successful business until you have bribed every government in every country in the world to let you be effectively a monopoly, rip people off, and you're like at the income level that matches some European countries' GDPs. Then you've succeeded. Anything else, while competition still exists and you're not making all of the money, then you haven't done well enough. And that becomes how they run their lives. Me personally, if I won the Mega Millions, like right now tonight, I actually have a ticket, I think, because it's at like 250 million, which is the only time I buy a ticket. It's actually still a $2 shot at about 250 million, but it's a 1 in 302 million shot. So it's actually like a 2-to-1 disadvantage. But yeah, if I won that, my goal would be to keep about 5 or 10 mil for myself and give away the rest as quickly as I can. Although also it would make more sense to like make 4% in corporate bonds and dividends and stock, payback and stuff, and then take that and donate it per year to charity, because then it would go further. But basically, I wouldn't just be like, I need 50 cars. Like, past about 2 or 3 cars, what the hell? What are you even doing other than showing off to other people, making yourself feel special and rich, and buying something just because you can because it makes you feel special? Like, I'm not saying every millionaire, it should be mandatory that they give away 75% of their earnings per year to poor people, because an enormous amount of poor people are poor because of their own stupid decisions. And their stupid, shitty, careless, self-destructive life choices. They don't deserve a handout. They haven't earned a handout. But then you got people who are just like, they're doing fine. They got an okay job. They're great. They're a model employee. They're great to their family. And then boom, $100,000 in medical debt, and they're basically bankrupt. And they live in an apartment and they're on welfare. So it's like, you know. So just me personally, I would feel like a miserable human being if an enormous percentage of my annual income did not go to just helping people, building, you know, filtered water for people in Africa so that they can just live without getting sick and having their kids die. Yes, their corrupt government did it to themselves and it's entirely their fault. Great, where's the charity where I help kick them out of government? Hell, I'd fund a militia to overthrow a government like that. Sitting there stealing from the people. Whatever the problem is that you can throw money at it. That's what I'm saying. So as polarized and opinionated as that is, it kind of shrinks down to a smaller scale. It's, should somebody who's pretty rich, we're talking $250,000 a year, you know, doctor, lawyer, something like that, on up, maybe $1 million a year, should they be buying $100 cards just because they can, you know, and playing with them, and, you know, whatever, they're Magic enthusiasts, they like to look at the pretty cards, they're kind of in a good headspace and they can afford it. But should they do that before they've bare minimum at least helped someone out with some portion of their money? And I mean, I'm all about look after number one before you look after anybody else, because you're responsible for you and you come first. Okay, so we're talking, you shouldn't spend $1 on Magic cards until you own some weapons, some self-defense, some body armor, some ammo, and some emergency food. And like, you know, water filtration, that kind of shit. Just in case, if you're a rich person and you haven't spent a penny on that, you are an idiot. It doesn't matter how much you make, you're not spending your money on the right stuff. The just-in-case stuff. I mean, it's like, you have car insurance. What are the odds that you in your entire life are going to get in a car accident? You have medical insurance every year. I mean, how often do you break a bone, need stitches, or develop some horrible illness? It's a long shot, but guess what? Hurricane Katrina happened. Wars happen. Depressions happen. Viral outbreaks happen. So can you just say, oh, it's fine that that person bought that card because to them it's like $10 because they're rich as hell. And then, you know, they're living in way too expensive, way too big of a mansion that's not sustainable in case anything changes in their income or their business. Or they're not covering their own personal safety, defense, and future, you know, future-proof ability to feed themselves and protect themselves and their family. You know, I'd put bulletproof windows on my mansion before I spent $1 on Magic the Gathering. Are you kidding me? A vehicle with armored doors and run-flat tires, that comes before Magic the Gathering in my budget, no matter how much I'm making. Unless you could afford both, is what I'm saying. But some people, as rich as they are, they kind of relax and don't care if their money's being spent on the proper things because it's not important if they screw up because they got so much of a margin to play with, whatever. And then all of a sudden something happens and now they're just like everybody else. And, you know, I'm sure you could still give somebody a stack of hundreds in the middle of Hurricane Katrina and they share your food with them. I mean, it's not like, you know, money is meaningless, but you never know. So, I mean, even just that example among many other examples, like, I mean, one I wanted to throw out, I thought it was a little too mean to put in this video, but I think I've already offended as many people as I possibly can, so I might as well throw this in here. There was a couple people, actually. I was going to say it's one person. I realized I know at least 2 or 3 that this would apply to. They roll up in a $1,000 to $2,000 car, which, you know, nothing wrong with that. That's actually a smart idea. No depreciation expense, and you just fix it every time it fails. It's better than buying a $10,000 car. It just is. But, you know, like, we're talking, they got their like, windshield cracked. Like, you should probably go spend $300 or $400 fixing that. It's literally illegal, not to mention a safety issue directly to yourself on a daily basis. So they're pulling up in their, you know, Chevy Cavalier, their Honda with the muffler dragon sparking on the way, you know, bottoming out because their shocks are garbage on the way into the parking lot to the local gaming store. They pull up, shut the door real lightly so that they don't crack the windshield anymore. And then they pull out their $1,200 deck with all fetch lands, you know, because I was playing at that LGS from Hell, of course, another LGS from Hell story. And, you know, they have the old fetch lands and also their foil. Oh, look at me. I'm such a long-time player. I'm such an elite player. I win every time because I copied my deck from the internet and because my deck costs the most, so I deserve to win because look at me. I'm the best player here because I can spend money. Wow. As they make 10 play errors in a row against me. So those people and their $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 binders and their $1,000 decks, should they be spending money elsewhere? Yes. In fact, Number one would be, I gotta go with the windshield. I was gonna say it's something else, but it's the windshield. But after they fix their windshield, I would maybe, before buying another $1,000 deck, throw $1,000 at their dental situation. I hate to be rude, but I'm just being pragmatic here. It just, what would be a higher priority for me? Showing off to people while also having absolutely jacked up teeth, which is of course their own doing by being lazy. There's really not a lot of money you need to spend to have perfect teeth. Well, actually, perfect teeth, that's $10,000, but acceptable teeth. You know, having all your teeth, you know, there. And I mean, we all have seen it. Don't act like you haven't seen it at your store. You had to have at some point. As somebody rolling up to F&M in this garbage car with garbage clothes, not that I'm, you know, fashion shaming anybody, but like clothes with like, you know, they're falling apart. They can at least go to Goodwill and spend $8 on just literally anything. I mean, come on. And then they whip out, you know, a $600 deck with needlessly rare foil cards. And you know they're there just to show off to people. Why the hell else would they prioritize that so much? It's because that makes them feel like a great accepted person that everybody respects in the community, even though they're lying to themselves. But if they were to be honest, they'd know 10-20% of the people are like, wow, that's cool. I respect that person for having that collection and their dedication to the game, or, you know, whatever. But when you're spending money just to impress other people and because that makes you feel special, that's not a healthy psychological place to be in. And that's why, you know, like I said, the overriding factor, even if you're rich as hell, if you're just doing it to show off to people, I can't agree with that. That's not a healthy, like, character trait, you know? If you can afford the cards and you're using them to show off and be like, look how elite and perfect I am, I'm so great, everybody loves me, great, you can afford it. And then it's even worse if you can't afford it. You should be spending your money clearly on something else. And I'm sure somebody's already typing away in the comments saying, but Des, and I know somebody's already typing away in the comment section saying, but Des, are you saying that, like, you know, if I have a credit card balance at all, like a couple hundred, couple $1,000, whatever your situation is, I should not even spend $20 on a simple basic deck to go have fun and entertainment budget, whatever, for the week and go play at F&M? No, I'm not like hardcore prioritizing black and white. You cannot spend anything until you fix your situation. I mean, keep it real, you know, especially if you did a little extra work. You drove for Uber and made $100 extra that day. Yeah, it probably should all go to the credit card if that's a priority, but it's like your life's going to suck if you just sit there and do nothing but work, never go to a movie, buy any good expensive food. You just never do anything for fun that isn't free. The value of your like psychological state is worth a dollar amount. And if you want to spend a little bit of money to, you know, go have fun doing something, watch a movie, you know, go to F&M, buy one deck, whatever. It's like, cool. Like, that, are you making your minimums plus a little bit on your credit card for your payment? You know exactly you have a timeline to pay it off. Cool. Then go blow a small percentage of your paycheck. I don't want to make it too black and white and start shaming people for not like absolutely flawlessly min-max speed running their life and their finances. And if you look at that situation, it's actually the exact opposite. I kind of wanted to outline this. They're, you know, not the wealthiest person in the world. They're not working the best job. You know, maybe they just had a kid, so they got all those expenses or something, you know, live alone, but they got some debt, you know, paying off a college loan or whatever. And then you see them at F&M and they're like, man, I really want to buy this, but I need 4 of this card. It's $8 a piece. Oh, 32 actually is like a lot for me right now, you know? And then they buy it anyway because they just want to play the damn game and they're just adamant about that deck and they're sick of going to F&M and losing, you know, 0-5 every single time. Like, they got to at least remain competitive, and that's the way to do it, and that's the deck they want to build. Yes, you can call that an irresponsible purchase, but like, all things considered, it's not the worst thing in the world. I would actually approve it and encourage it. I really would. Because you got to draw the line somewhere. You know, like I said, you can't just absolute black and white, everything's this way, boom, iron fist, you know, through your weekly finances. You will not be a happy person if you live your life that way. So not all rich people buying $100 cards is bad. Not all poor people buying $100 or $10 cards is bad. There's gray area, there's circumstances, there's intent. And like I said, the number one overriding factor is, what was their intention? What is the outcome they desired from that purchase of that card? Are they just trying to show off? Because then I don't care who they are, how much money they have, that's a douchebag right there. And just to reiterate something I said earlier, just because somebody has a $100 card doesn't mean they didn't buy it at the time for $5 or open it up in a pack and just decide to keep it for a little bit before they sell it. So you can't just say, oh, look at that trashy person over there, you know, that clearly doesn't have money at F&M. What are they doing with the $80 card? Maybe they got it for free. Maybe it was in a prize pack. Just saying. So I don't think people should go commenting on other people's purchase decisions or, you know, the way they decide to live their life, unless it's like, you know, at the point where somebody should say something, almost like an intervention, but it's going to come across as rude no matter what you say. So yeah, there is way, way, way more to it than people just going online spouting off some self-righteous, nobody should ever pay more than $100 for a card. Although I will say a lot of people, when you kind of, ask them to clarify their position, what they really mean is no card should cost $100. And that I can get behind 100%. That is a completely different topic than anything we're talking about should they have spent that much money. If you're going to make the point that they shouldn't have paid $100 because nobody should have to pay $100 for that, then you are absolutely correct. I 100% get behind Richard Garfield's position that no card should ever be more than $20. I hope that's what he said. I keep thinking it's 10, but even that seems low. I don't know. I think he said it when like Black Lotuses were hitting like 50 to 100. I think that was the context. And if you think about it, it would work. If Wizards reprinted every single card aggressively, we're talking 4 Masters sets per year, maybe 2. They could maybe pull it off with 2. And just anytime a new card takes off and it starts flirting with, above $20, even $30, $40, $50, they could print it down and sell effectively singles just, in booster packs. But they're flooding the market with singles. They know what they're doing. And they do it until the card is sub $20. Everybody could afford to play every format. Kind of. I mean, still $20 is a lot in my opinion. If you need 3 play sets of 4 each of a card that's all $20, I mean, that's a lot of money. Thankfully, there are powerful cards that are $1, just saying. But yeah, I mean, if it was an online game and it was pay to win, people would be ripping them apart. But somehow it's acceptable for TCGs that just if you want the most powerful deck, most powerful cards, you just spend more and then you win. That's bullshit. And what people don't get is making every format like 5 times more affordable or whatever the net result would be of just constantly reprinting everything to suppress the value on everything. The only losers here would be the long-term investors and more like the speculators, because I mean, you could consider like Card Kingdom to be a large singles investor. So if you devalue their, multi-million-dollar library of singles, they're probably not going to appreciate that too much. But at the same time, it would be offset by them selling the Masters product. Because right now, for example, Commander Legends collector's boosters are at the distributor about $170. They could sell them locally for about $270 pretty much the whole lifetime of the product, or recently. So $100 per box, just out the door, just boom, 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 $100 bill, $100 bill, $100 bill. Now, do they really care about, losing $500,000 in singles value? Well, no, because the thing that was causing it made the money. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, mathematically, that should work out. It should be about the same amount of money. I think it would work that way, roughly. So the MTG finance people, the speculators who just buy cards to be parasitic, rip-off middlemen who just take money from the economy while providing absolutely nothing to the community whatsoever, they'd lose their asses because they don't day one flip a bunch of sealed stuff. Oh, boo-hoo. I mean, screw those people. So ignoring them because, like I said, screw those people. The players would benefit because they'd be able to afford to play everything. Wizards would benefit because they would just sit there and just cash in on the singles prices over and over and over and over and over. They would be making insane record profits if they did this. All the stores selling them would get, their margin, their markup margin. So they'd all be happy. So Wizards is happy, players are happy, stores are happy, everybody's doing great, everybody's, getting some relief on their wallet. And then MTG finance, parasitic, speculative, card hoarding, buyout douchebags would absolutely lose their asses. Good, I hope they invested in silver, bitcoins, and stocks and bonds as well, because if they didn't, then they're an idiot no matter what happens. That is not how you run a portfolio, 90 to 100% Magic the Gathering cards. You are a mental patient if that's what you're doing. Especially with the state of the game right now. My entire collection, and remember, I own, with bulk, probably 100 to 200,000 cards, but as far as like singles, like that I actually give a shit about, a couple hundred to a couple thousand between binders, decks, all that stuff. My whole entire collection collectively is probably worth about $500 right now, and in the last 2 years, I sold several $1,000s of it. So I've basically sold off of my, what do they call that? My, ownership of it or whatever, about 80, 90%. I've liquidated that and moved on to other things. Like spending it all on medical bills and being poor, which is not a very good investment long-term, by the way. Leave a like on the video if your current investment strategy is spending too much on shit you can't avoid, like car repairs and medical bills and being poor. But wouldn't that be nice if that's what Wizards chose to do? And it would make them so much money, and they know it. I don't understand why they wouldn't do this. I guess people who are holding decks that are like 6 years old, 7 years old in Modern, where their deck, when they bought it, was $600, now it's worth $1,500 because the cards have gotten rare, gone up, and they stopped making Master sets for 18 months. They would get it devalued while also not seeing too much of a direct benefit other than if they rebuilt another deck, it would be cheaper. But if they weren't planning on doing that, it would lose the money. So I think Wizards is afraid of pissing off those people. But at this point in the last 2 years, the Modern meta and the Commander meta has changed so much. Your deck got devalued and worthless just because of naturally what happens in formats. I mean, nothing happened in Modern for like 4 or 5 years. Then all of a sudden they start power creeping everything to oblivion in Standard. And my gosh, I got 5-color humans. Death Shadow came back, and these days I don't even know what the hell people are playing in Modern, but it's completely different. So if you got that same Jund deck you've been running for 8 years, I don't think it's like tactically, competitively worth what it used to be or monetarily. Oh well, shit happens. Where was the written guarantee from Wizards that said, when you buy these singles and this card and this set and whatever and build this deck, we absolutely guarantee you'll be able to get your money or more out of it? I don't remember them assuring anybody of that. You playing with that deck for 6 years, you made a thing called a purchase, which is where you give money for a product. I think you're confusing your Modern deck with like a corporate bond or like a stock that you could sell or like a certified deposit at your bank. There is no guarantee you're getting your money out of it. Just because that's what usually happens doesn't mean it will. Okay, this is not an investment. People treat it like it, they call it that, but nothing's guaranteed. So if those people started whining, if Wizards of the Coast started aggressively reprinting stuff, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It would just be aggressively and entirely Wizards of the Coast's fault. So, okay, whatever. Get over it. I mean, that's why exchanging currency for Magic the Gathering cards is called spending money. So those are my entire thoughts on it, mixed with a little bit of, sociology, philosophy, life commentary. But I did just want to make a video really breaking down and explaining, like, you can't just make a statement that simple that, nobody should ever spend X on a card unless you meant to say nobody should have to spend that much, which I entirely agree with. Other than that, it's just not that simple. So thanks for watching. If you like this longer format stuff, which I actually kind of took notes, made an outline, stuck to it somewhat, because a lot of people have been saying, man, you uploading all these 8-minute news videos and stuff. Like, I go to the gym, I drive, I make some long format podcasty stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is an idea I've had in the back of my head for a while. So hopefully y'all doing your 30-minute workout listening to me. I certainly appreciate that. The watch time helps me a bit. And as you know, if I get 5-10 people asking for something in the comment section, I usually tend to do it because you guys are the customer and I am the business. And even though I've learned the customer is almost always wrong, it's bullshit to say they're always right, I will listen to you guys when you make a good point. Like, hey, you should do this, you should do that. So hey, shout out to all the fans out there. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you guys next video.